Oh! Whoa, cartwheel, cartwheel. That was my fault. That was my fault. Got some bad news, guys. I just went to try to start it. I'm not sure, but it might be hydro locked. I think I'm gonna go home, try to remove the coolant head on the motor, you know, do a little bit of motor maintenance and inspection. I'm not gonna let this thing die. We in fact do have a bunch of water in the engine. I'm amazed by how clean the piston is. I don't think the water is actually even pissing me off right now. There's a bunch of this salt water. You know what? I'm gonna lick it. I feel safe. Oh man. Yeah, it's salt water, guys.
And it's not looking good. Seems then that if you want to kill one of these things, the beach, the sea, salt water is the answer.
What's up, Nitro Gang? As you just saw in the previous video, I took my Revo with the OS18TZ to the beach. Unfortunately, it wound up doing a pretty long cartwheel there during some of the run, and it wound up flipping right into the water. Now, obviously, after examining the footage, you know, you just saw it, it's obvious that it sucked water, you know, salt water, ocean water, the worst possible type of water, you know, for a nitro motor, into the engine. Some would say what happened in this Revo here is not much different than what happened on the Toyota Hilux on the episode of Top Gear where Jeremy Clarkson tried to kill it. Take a look at this.
I'd tried careless driving. Look what's happened. I'm not going to get that out for hours. Damn, damn.
Let me explain the situation here. I used the word hydrolocked, and that is in fact what happened. So the engine shut off as soon as the air filter sucked in some water. What happens is it's like a physical property of water. It does not compress at all. If you get water inside the engine, eventually the piston is just gonna stop. The reason is, you know, it creates a lot of compression at the top, and basically just the combustion cycle cannot continue. Right now, my plan is obviously to repair it. Now, I've already removed the coolant head in the last video. We examined it. I also checked the glow plug to see if it in fact works. Let me show you guys right here. The glow plug is not damaged. Oh, kind of hot. The glow plug is not damaged. You could tell it glows red. So yeah, obviously there's no piece of elements, you know, stuck in the motor that could have destroyed some kind of damage. It's actually pretty red. I'm going to turn it off right now. Okay, I washed some of the regular components that I removed. So some of it I didn't get on video. When I disconnected this pipe, literally like 2 tablespoons of water, you know, came out of the pipe. And yeah, unfortunately it's not on video, but we are going to be removing the engine right now. It seems I've noticed another problem. So the pull start. Yep, the pull start, typical one-way bearing pull start issue. You guys see this right here? You don't want to have this. Now, it's been about 2 days since I actually flipped it, and the time between recording this video and you know, the incident with the hydro locking, so it's not ideal. Obviously you would want to soak this in WD-40, blah blah blah, but I couldn't do it because my pull start got stuck. I tried to remove the pull start, you know, before, but there's just no access here. I have to remove the engine. I don't want to risk and pull it anymore, so let's get to removing the motor. Usually the OS motors have their own compatible pull starts, but this right here says Force Models Company. I didn't put this on the engine, it was already here. But you could tell that the body of the pull start actually protrudes from the back of the engine case here. So there's one, and I think there's only 2 screws holding this on, because on the bottom one here, it also does not perfectly align, and there is no screw. So don't think it actually fell out. I could tell that the engine case in the back here does not align with the pull start, but it's never let me down. I've owned this Revo for like 2 years at this point. So let's start with removing the engine. There's more than one way to remove it. I'm going to be removing these motor screws here at the top. The only way to do this is to first remove your coolant head, which I already did. Otherwise, you just would not have access to these right here. And make sure that your Allen keys fit when you're doing this on video, right? You don't want to embarrass yourself. So here we go. My strategy here is to make this as fast and easy as possible, so I think removing these screws here would be ideal. There is an actual engine mount that you can remove completely, but I don't think there's a reason to do that. The only thing I have linking the motor to the chassis, other than the fuel line here, that I could easily just disconnect and plug the tank, is the throttle arm here from the servo. So the way this is mounted, it's a rotary carb. It's not just as easy as snapping away the throttle mount itself. So I'm going to remove the set screw here, and this should just basically slide out. This is probably the easiest way of doing that. You guys see this? And now when I remove the motor, basically this should just slide out. This way I'm not messing around with my actual servo settings, the way it's mounted, or any of the trim settings later on. This is probably the easiest way to do this. So we just got a couple screws here. Let's remove them. I'm on my last screw here. The engine is already jiggling. The motors are rocking. That's what you want to see. Very easy to remove. Here we go. It should just come out. Should be nothing else there. All right, there we go, guys. In case you're wondering, how great are these OS Max 18TZ motors? I'll give you some specs. This is rated at 1.8 horsepower, which is actually a lot for a 3cc motor. By the way, I also plugged the fuel tank. I'm not going to remove any of this right here. I just want to, make this as easy as possible. A lot of times people start removing every single part from the chassis. There's really no point in doing that. The goal here is just to get to the engine. From this angle, you can definitely tell that, the pull start housing itself is not at all like the housing of the engine. And it's only being held on by 2 screws, but I've never had a problem with these backing out. Seems to be a pretty good pull starter. Force model company, made in, what does it say? Made in Taiwan. So pretty cool. Never had a problem with these Force engines. I think these were like off the models, right? If I'm not mistaken, a lot of the off the models came with Force engines. I hope nothing is damaged in the pull start because, man, I hate paying for pull starts. I hate buying one-way bearings. I hate spending money on RC. I just want it to run, but sometimes you have no choice, especially when you drive it into the ocean just like I did. But, this is the Revo Survivor Edition. Gotta do this really slowly. Sometimes the actual mechanism here comes apart, so I usually do it like this. I just push it out. All right, so the mechanism is obviously very sandy, but it's really not my fault. Nothing I could do about that. Over time, just the way this thing was sitting on the motor, clearly you saw that it was only being held on by 2 screws. And yeah, dirt definitely found a way of getting in. It's possible if I just go wash this, it'll recoil back, but as of now, yeah, it seems like there's a lot of built-up tension in the line and it's not recoiling. Let's just check out the one-way bearing situation. So the bearing is fine. Yeah, it's spinning. The bearing is fine. It's not spinning the other way. Of course, I'm going to have to clean all of this of the sand, but we're going to get to that in a little. The pull start itself, I washed it as much as I could. I noticed there's a cover here, so there's actually a screw inside. You can barely tell it's there, but it's inside there. The pull start works, but clearly it does not retract all the way. I need it to retract all the way, you know what I'm saying? So it does go back eventually, but of course this is not going to work. I'm going to have to remove this, clean inside. It's probably a couple of grains of sand in there. Seems to be getting a little better. I put some white lithium grease. That's what you see in there. I don't even know where my WD-40 is right now, man. I'm unprepared. There's a screw inside there. Pretty much a genius design. I've never seen a pull start this well designed in my life. Now, this is not the safest thing to do because sometimes the spring does not want to go back in. But I have no choice. We have to clean this. Oh man, there is a lot of sand in there. I could basically see it. So let me go wash this in the sink. Hopefully it'll be okay. Let's see if it ratchets back. I'm going to hold it here with my thumb. So yeah, the mechanism is fine. There's just obviously a lot of sand inside. Finally, The Rock fixed the pull start. That's right, classic wrestling reference for you fans out there. Anyways, check this out. No problem. Oh yeah, look at that. I had to use like a bunch of solvent, a bunch of WD-40, some compressed air. But yeah, check this out. Retracts, no big deal. Perfect. So WD-40 has a really good property of having the ability to have the sand inside there bind to it. Then you basically just flush it out, use some compressed air, soap, water, boom. Before you know it, your pull start is good. Just make sure if you have a problem like this, don't let the spring come out, because if the spring comes out, even Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 will not be able to lay a can of whoop ass on this pull start. The pull start is going to lay a can of whoop ass on you and your bank account. You know what I'm saying? I can already tell by spinning the crankshaft here through the flywheel that it is completely seized. So before, 2 days ago, you saw the engine was spinning over. There's nothing wrong with it. It's probably just a little bit, the salt water has a really good way of rusting things almost instantly. But we know this thing is not broken. The connecting rod is not broken. If I did not see the piston spin over previously, you could safely assume that the connecting rod is broken. Here we go, moment of truth. The 4 screws are out. My hands cannot possibly be any dirtier than they already are. So let's get to it. Oh yeah, came right out. There we go, guys. Yeah, we got a good amount of, obvious water corrosion. What the hell is that? Looks like some kind of jello in here. Never seen this before. Look at that. It's like some kind of goo jello. This must have happened from, the salt water, the nitro. I don't know what the physical properties of something like this is, but it's pretty disgusting. I would not consider this a very tasty jello. This is yet again another case of nitro goo. Man, it's all throughout that crankshaft. You guys see how deep it goes? Oh, that's pretty gross. So this is the result of getting salt water in your engine. That makes sense. On the upside, look at that carb. When I removed the air filter, absolutely no sand in there. Man, this is great. As long as you have no sand, and the carb venturi opens up normally as it does right now, you should not have any kind of problems. I'm going to go wash this in the sink right now, and we'll get back to assembling it. It's been sitting in after-run oil and WD-40 over 2 to 3 hours in a little bit of a tub. So yeah, I'm going to wash the clutch later. I know you're not supposed to get oil on the clutch, so don't put that in the comments. I'm fully aware of that, Nitro gang. Got some bad news for you guys. I had to fully tear down the engine. When you see the engine parts on a plate like this, that's not good news. That means my initial assumption of just putting some WD-40 in the block and getting it unstuck and free, it's not worked out so far as you could tell by the fact that, all the parts are on a plate right now. I cannot possibly move this at all. Like, I've even tried more or less forcibly to move it, but I'm not going to be doing it right now. I have another solution. So what am I going to do? I'm left with one solution. Make a part 2 of this series, which, there's going to be a part 2. But let me just tell you what I plan on doing. I'm going to stick the engine block in the oven. That's right. I'm going to use my air fryer grill. I'm just kidding. Just going to be a regular broil session, I figure heat this up to 200 degrees. The oil inside, I already have it, pretty much soaked in after-run oil here. It should unseize it. Heat is a friend to one of these engines. Salt water is not a friend to one nitro engine. Of course, I learned my lesson, but hey, not like I wanted to flip there at the end. I don't enjoy taking apart nitro motors, getting my hands all dirty. I have to freaking wash my shirt that I was wearing before. That's why I'm wearing this great trash over here. Either way, doesn't matter. Stay tuned. Please comment, like, subscribe. This is some original, true Nitro gang business we got going on here, sticking nitro motors into the oven. Who else would do that? You can't stick your electric in the oven. You know why? You're going to fry the wires. Or you're going to, blow it up. Either way, see you later.
Astonishingly, the Toyota was not dead. So it had survived the West Country, and that won't stop it.
I'm baking the engine block, guys. It's right here in my oven. It's a little bit less than 250 degrees. I would say this is probably like 200. I'm going to lower it a little bit.